To keep up to date with my work, please like and subscribe on YouTube and Instagram, and if you like this, comment and let me know. I'd love to hear your opinion. Started with a black prime, and I'm just coming in with a bright neutral grey just to give it a bit of a zenithal. I did do a slight bit of dry brushing with titanium white just to hit the high edges. I've had Vashtorr on my desk now for about a year, just kind of waiting to paint in when I felt the time was right, and I really feel like doing it now, so let's get it done. I'm just doing a quick reverse zenithal with dark purple from Watercolor. It's a really nice colour to spray, so I'm going to try and incorporate dark purple and scale 75 sunset purple into more of my shadows. I really enjoy it. It gives the feel of a lot more depth of colour in the model. And once that's done, we're just going to sit down, relax and dry brush some sandalwood by scale 75. Try to leave your shadows actually purple. All we're doing for this is just picking out the areas that we're then going to come in later on and brush in. And speaking of that, next up we're doing scale 75 sandalwood again, but this time it's a mix of 50-50 between paint and retarder. And we're just coming in and doing a couple of thin layers over all the areas we've picked out with the dry brush. Again, take it slow, you don't need to rush, enjoy your painting. We're just doing a few thin layers until we get the saturation we want over the areas. What I'm doing here is just lightly edge highlighting and stippling with the brush, just to build up some areas with a higher opacity of sandalwood without losing the dark purple undertones. As you can see, the paint really is thin here as I'm going over the leg. The main thing is to try and keep consistent brush strokes and always end the brush stroke where you want it to be the most opaque. Especially around the muscle, I come in with a clean wet brush and I just feather out the edges. It helps to create a better gradient between the recessed shading and the sandalwood midtones. So I wanted to try something a little bit different next. I'm using a watercolour. It's Winsor & Newton's Purple Lake. I thinned it down around 35% paint to around 75% distilled water. And with this mix we're going to glaze it as a filter over the whole body to create a nice fleshy undertone. Once the filter's done, we're going to a 65% paint to around 35% distilled water ratio of the same Purple Lake by Winsor & Newton. Now you'll notice I'm generally using two brushes, one as a clean wet brush for doing my feathering and one as an application brush. As I'm applying this mix of Purple Lake, what I'm doing is stippling with the brush just on the areas I want to have the darkest purple. Once I have the saturation of pigments where I want, I come in with a clean wet brush. I start stippling away from the saturation of pigment first of all, drawing the colour away. I then clean the brush and come back in and I glaze it forwards to the saturation of pigment. This helps create a gradient glaze over the skin for a smoother transition. This is a really fun way of painting, especially with the water paints. It does take a while, but again, I'm really just having fun when I paint. Honestly, even though I'm doing videos for YouTube, I'm painting for myself. I'm going to paint what I want, when I want, and I hope you guys enjoy what I paint, and enjoy the fact that when I am painting, I'm just having fun. This is hobby. I may be filming these videos for myself and for other people, but at the same time, just remember not to stress when you're painting your models. But painting thin coats, glazes, etc., honestly, takes a lot longer to mess up the model. Once it's done, you have to varnish it, and when you varnish, you do lose a little bit of the saturation sometimes, but just varnish it lightly. After I'd varnished it, all I did was come in with a little bit of Siegfried Burgundy. I mixed it as a 50-50 ratio of Siegfried Burgundy and retarder, and I just stippled over some of the areas I wanted to be the darkest purple, just to bring back the depth that sometimes can get lost with varnishing watercolours. Once we finished the Purple Lake, varnished the model, and just touched up any areas we needed to with Siegfried Burgundy, it's time to glaze our midtones. We take a mix of sandalwood by scale 75, but what we're going to do is make a 50-50 mix of lamy medium and paint retarder. Add that as a 60% mix to 40% paint. That's going to give us a bit of extended time so that we can actually work with it. This mix is going on really finely. I'm not being super careful with how I'm brushing here. I'm just trying to be a bit careful with where I'm brushing. You don't want to go too far into the dark areas, and you want to come in with a clean brush, as you can see here, around the edges, and just feather it out a little bit. And you're going to do this a few times for each area. Again, the point of this isn't to rush, it's to have fun and paint, and just to learn some new skills. Do some experimentation. Once you've done that on this area of the model, just complete the same steps on the rest of the model. And this is the results of my work for Vashtorr skin. Thank you for your support.